I would just drink water and tea or herbal teas or something.
That's
like
actually a
that.
smart move, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's unbelievable for me, and this is just purely anecdotal. I don't have, but there is a lot of science behind it. I felt amazing. I wouldn't really get hungry until Sunday evening because my Monday's so busy at work. And at about 7 o'clock, I start getting those cravings. And it took me 4 different Mondays to psychologically get over that hump, because physically I had plenty of meat on me that I could survive. But once I got over that hump, believe it or not, Tuesday morning, I would wake up and I wasn't hungry at all. And I found that on that Monday, I thought more clear. It seemed I had tons of energy. I actually never forgot where my keys were and always knew where my cell phone was. I really had a lot of energy, and I do actual data. I have data on myself for almost 15 or 16 years from the same physician, where every year I do a VO2 max test. I get a resting heart rate. I get blood work done a lot. And it turned out...
Just because you want it done because you want documentation to use as an athlete? Is that why?
Well, I find that people will say things, and I find a lot of my clients that were very heavy would say, I feel great.
Right.
And it's hard for them to understand. It's like if I gave you $100,000 or $250,000, you would go, I feel great. But you've never had 25 million.
Right.
It's a big difference. Like, so you can't possibly understand what 25 million feels like and be able to give money to your friends and help others until you get there.
Right.
And it's the same thing. They feel good, even though they're 200 pounds and 5'2" and morbidly obese. They feel fine, and a lot of them can pass blood pressure tests, cholesterol's fine, they're just overweight.
Right.
But until they get to what I call the razor's edge for an athlete, where you're on the edge, where you're so fit that you're on an edge of getting sick, but being like world class. Right. When you get to that edge, it's an incredible feeling that you can't explain to someone. They can feel it. So what I did is to make sure for myself that I didn't not confuse, I want not confuse, or I wanted the data to prove that what I was feeling was true.
Yeah, that's good.
So, because I do a bunch of stuff that I sleep in an altitude tent. I use an oximeter for oxygen saturation in intervals, which most people do. So I want to get blood work to confirm, and I get my body fat tested. Because, for example, if you look at body fat tests, a lot of times you'll look at the tests from medical professionals that say under 10% for men's is dangerous. And it's like, whoa, I've been never 10%. I've been 3.5%.
So excuse me. So is this just a new area in which the medical professionals are wrong, much the way in the 70s
Just behind.
They were wrong about weightlifting?
They're just behind.
Okay. So you want to go on record saying, okay, good.
So what I do is I try and get data right from the doctor, and so I know that the data that I'm feeling good is matched by the actual numbers, the cholesterol, the hematocrit levels, the iron levels. So I have proof of what I'm saying is I feel good, but here's proof that this is where I'm at, where I'm feeling good. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing that for 15 years so that I can kind of just prove that. So by doing intermittent fasting, I went from the same body fat percentage, which was about 4 to 5%, and I went from 167 pounds to 150 pounds, the exact same body fat. So in essence, I lost 17 pounds of muscle, which most people would go, are you nuts? But for cycling, the muscle that I lost wasn't specific to my goal. So it's a goofy goal, right? I'm trying to become a guy who can pedal in circles really fast. So now I can show this is how I increased my VO2, which supposedly you can't do after a certain age, and supposedly...
But you know you can.
You can. I just did it. I just proved it. I did. At age of 52 years old or whatever, I increased, and I was already...
By the way, are you 52?
I'm 55.
Well, let me say this, since I'm sitting right across from you, since I do this for a living.
Yeah.
You really look much more youthful than that.
Good. Thanks. I had some good coffee this morning.
Yeah, no, you
guys gave me good coffee.
Much more.
Thanks.
Yeah, the coffee actually is actually
Yeah.
good. No, you look very youthful. And so because as a young man, you did weights, and now you seem to enjoy cycling. Do you enjoy cycling? Is it the aesthetics of cycling? Is it the physical, the prowess that you get on cycling? Is it just you want to beat the other guys? What is it about cycling? Because you came to that late, right?
I came to cycling late because of the injuries that came from, basically, I found out from lifting incorrectly.
Mm-hmm.
And in the book, I show you some really common things that people do still. And I see it in a magazine. There's a magazine I just saw today. It was a GQ magazine where there's a pro football player teaching you an exercise which in our organization, does not recommend.
Right.
It's contraindicated
Right.
for the knee, and he's recommending it. So, yeah. So I still, I came to it through injury, and then I moved to California. I
Yeah.
mean, California, how can you, what are you going to do? You're going to stay inside? Give me a break. You're outside. So I picked a sport that I could do outside. I also like sport that with cycling, you can go a fairly good distance. So when
Right.
you travel to Italy, instead of being in a car, you're in a bicycle. You can smell it, see it. You get lost. You don't have to go to the traffic. And these are medieval cities. You can stop, turn around. I love it. It's dangerous, which I like in a sport.
Unfortunately, it is a little dangerous.
It is really dangerous. I never was really drawn to golf or tennis. I like some danger. I like speed. And it was the only sport that I could do with my knee injury competitively. And I like to compete because I find that sports and music, I call them both the great equalizers. Because it doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor, white or black, pretty or ugly. It doesn't matter. In a sport, it only matters if your tire comes across the line first. They take a photo, you win.
Right.
And in music, it's the same way. As long as you can play, it doesn't matter where you went to school, whether you can see, not see, drugs, not drugs, doesn't matter.
Right.
Once you start playing, a person that can play, they get it. You can play,
Right.
smiles. They're happy. So those two
By the way,
things.
you played with Cher, didn't you?
A little bit.
Just to drop that name to
Yeah,
show.
I
Okay,
did.
very
I
good.
did. So it's the grand equalizer. So for me, that was the only thing left. Swimming is you can't talk to anyone. You could be in a lane next to somebody for an hour. You wouldn't even recognize them after an hour.
Right.
So cycling is that pretty. We're in California where it's free, beautiful mountains.
Okay,
great-
what did you win just now? What cycling sports did you win?
I had an unbelievable season. This season I raced 95 times.
95 times?
About.
Oh, my goodness.
In 5 countries. I podiumed about a third of the time. So I was on the top 30% of the time.
Good for you.
I won.
So this is the Masters division.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Silver medal and bronze medal in the Masters Worlds in Torino, Italy, which happens every 4 years, which, by the way, is the largest sporting event in the world.
Really?
Right. Then I won at state championships. I won 2 silvers and a bronze in California for the track. At the Huntsman World Senior Games, I won 6 gold medals and 5 silver, and I was the best overall road cyclist and the best overall mountain bike cyclist. Then I went to the Masters Pan American Games, and I won 3 golds and 2 silvers.
Okay, and the reason so you had a great season.
Yeah.
And you're 55.
Yeah.
So you're competing against men who are 40.
55. Sometimes they'll put you, like in the road race in the past, they put us from the 40 to 59, all of us together, but they score you individually. So you're in the same pack, but they medal you individually.
Okay, so let me ask you now a longevity question. So you're 55 now, so you figure you're good till like 110, 115? I'm not making a joke.
No.
I'm not making a joke, right?
I really don't know.
Yeah.
Because
Right, none of us know, right.
Here's
But
the
theoretically.
thing. My sport has been, it's orthopedically challenged. I've crashed a lot of times. When you race that many times, it's not if you're going to crash, it's just when.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of crashes, and I got hit by a car last year, and that was the most painful thing that I've ever had.
that sounds
So
terrible.
because of that, I'm getting some orthopedic problems where I just might not be able to do it competitively anymore. I might